I'm going to dive right into this final episode of Our Voices Matter. The first one dealt with the African American Church, Roe versus Wade, and the need for it to speak up on behalf of women's freedoms. It seems that white women have no problem rising up and speaking. Even white men seem to be on social media and off of social media speaking for now their baseline freedoms have been threatened. Whereas I've heard little, observed little of the African American Church rising up in the news, traditional forms on social media elsewhere. Episode 2 dealt with, and they had the land, the other aspect of how Christianity or religion as a whole has been used to manipulate and rob people. Now it's funny I'm ending with the third episode, religious tolerance, because there has to be a balance, I believe, in doing so, or else the powers will be used to control, take over, and to dominate as has been done in the worst kinds of ways here in America. Religion manipulating this wheel by means of the political elements. We all know what happened in Nazi Germany. We all know what's happened in other countries. Since some of the worst horrors in our modern history, outside of what's been happening to us black folk in America, happened there to the Jewish people. I'm going to begin with this poem. First, they came. And I'm going to read that poem in light of what ancient philosopher once said: all religions must be tolerated, for every man must get to heaven in his own way. Take it as you see fit, how you believe, according to your belief system. But religious freedom is what it was really about. And the poem goes into how we must continue to speak out against anything that walks that fine line of creating something in America or other countries, other types of democracies that challenges the freedoms of all. For as the Constitution of the United States guaranteed in its beginning is one of the things which more people talked about more than the Second Amendment, is that we have freedom of religion and freedom from religion. And in that we also have the right to speak freely. And we must use our voices, I believe, to do so. Now for the poem. Some of you know it well. Some of you may have heard of it. I've heard of it. It's very short. It says, first they came for the communist, and I did not speak out, because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out, because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionist, and I did not speak out, because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out, because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. But there must be a level of religious tolerance of other people's beliefs. When that poem was written, it was dressed up in the white nationalism as it's known now today. It was dressed up as Christianity should be the religion of the land. And in our country, America, that's not the way it was originally supposed to be. Many of our so-called founding fathers were not even die-hard believers in that type of Christianity. And I find now that as we look in the media, regular media and social media, religion is being used as a catalyst to create change, to force the rights of a few upon the viewpoints of a few upon all. If you look at the case of Roe versus Wade, the mixture behind the scenes is not being revealed. We have to look back in history of this country, the enslavement of people who look like me, brown-skinned people, shipped thousands of miles from Africa, enslaved, submitted to some of the worst horrors. A history that somewhat do not want to be told. Even today, many of my people are gunned down in the streets by those who are sworn to serve and protect. Some would say that, Alfred, you're speaking as a woke individual. No, I'm speaking as an individual who believes it. Before it's too late, we must speak out continually. We must go to the polls. We must vote. We must exercise our choice, whether we're religious or not, to make it known that everyone must get his own heaven in his own kind of way. Yes, those individuals who believe that way tolerate their belief systems, but stand up and speak so that they're in the tolerance. It doesn't go to the point where we allow them to grab power, to maintain power, to tell us what to do, to twist the words of a document that was written for a certain demographic of people, but now we have a chance to apply it to all people. From a religious aspect, political aspect, secular aspect. Has this been a politicized, political, religious type podcast series? Yes, it has been. Because just as some seem to have the platform and they're speaking loudly, we must also raise our voice who believe in that every man must or woman must get to heaven his own way, or to experience heaven his her own way, not necessarily in a spiritual sense. Short episode, last episode. Use your voice, make it matter. Be that catalyst for change against the machine that's trying to dominate and take away more freedoms, more of our freedoms. By means of religion, or their religions, their form of Christianity. Even the one that, I would say, speak out, y'all. It's my challenge to be that voice for change and speak, the voice to speak. For every one of us must discover or get to heaven, I believe, in our own way. There's some who hear this and say, well, Alfred, you say you're a Christian. Your belief system, you mentioned it throughout your podcast episodes, your belief system, yes. And that's what I choose to believe based on what I have read and what I understand, what I've chosen to accept. I can tolerate easily you being an atheist, being agnostic, if that's your choice, whether it's done religiously or psychologically, however it's done. I can tolerate you being a Jew, a Muslim, or whatever your faith is. I have plenty of room for tolerance and compassion. Because at the end of the day, I see you as human. And I do not have the right to force my beliefs upon you. But I have the right to speak out on your behalf. To have that choice. In a country, in a time where there seems, some say it's a rise. No, it's not a rise of white nationalism. It's been there. They just needed a platform. They needed a voice. And they've used different elements of the political spectrum to appoint judges in the United States Supreme Court, to elect politicians who has enough power to stop things happening for most people, the common good of all. And yes, even those certain documents in the Constitution, as were not written for all people. When you look at the historical aspect of it, it can be applied now. We have a voice because to rise and to speak while tolerating others' choices. If you like this podcast, please support it financially by going to my Linktree page.